Welcome to Bike Life Radio from KWNK 97.7 FM, Reno Bike Project, and BikeWashoe.org in Reno, Nevada. We ride our bikes out into the world with a recorder and we talk to people about their bikes and their lives. I'm Kai Plascon. Right on. Communities nationwide are celebrating Bike Month, not just in Reno Sparks. We're going to take you far away from the broken bike network in Reno Sparks. We're going to take you to a city that is setting an example for the world. Surprise! Everyone sounds happy there. More women are riding, government is happy because women are riding and people are safer, and the cycling advocates are happy because the government involves them in decisions. Wow, imagine that. And we're going to talk to a very happy bike woman entrepreneur. We're also a punk alley cat racer guy, and we're going to talk to the happy government too. It's all from the League of American Bicyclists National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. Coming right up. And this is KWNK in local bike news from Bike Life Radio and BikeWashoe.org. Imagine a community where you could get to all the important places in Reno Sparks on bike paths. Wow, what a concept. Well, now you're one step closer to that imaginary world. You can draw a dream bike network with an interactive map from the Regional Transportation Commission that just came out. To find the link, go to Facebook and then search for Bike Washoe, and we've pinned the link to the top of the page. And then you can draw a bike path in front of every school community-wide. You can connect those bike paths at schools to the network, and you can draw a bike path to the airport on Vassar Street. You could draw a bike path from UNR to Midtown on Center and Sierra Streets. This will all be incorporated into the Active Transportation Plan from the Regional Transportation Commission. Again, to find the link, go to Facebook and the Bike Washoe page. Happy drawing! The Regional Transportation Commission and City of Reno are installing a buffered bike path starting this month on Holcomb Avenue. The city was going to end the buffers and bike lanes right before intersections where cyclists need the most protection. But after receiving feedback from the Truckee Meadows Bicycle Alliance, they decided to eliminate turn lanes for cars and keep those bike lanes all the way through the intersections. Great job. The City of Reno and Regional Transportation Commission are considering a downtown micromobility network at a cost of tens of millions of dollars. Streets include 4th, 5th, 6th, Kerman, Sutro Streets, Vassar Streets, Wells, and a pedestrian-only bridge on Vine Street. The cost is $62 million in federal funds. Construction wouldn't begin until 2025. City and RTC staff want to add Virginia Street to the list of projects as the only north-south connection between UNR and Midtown, which is not recommended by traffic studies because it closes during special events. Traffic studies do support bike paths on University Way, Center Streets, and Sierra Streets, so the Truckee Meadows Bicycle Alliance is going to be asking City Council to add those streets as well as Vassar for better connectivity to the airport. People who want to get in on these calls to action by the Truckee Meadows Bicycle Alliance to improve the bicycle network can go to BikeWashoe.org and you can sign up to be on our newsletter. That's it for local bike news from BikeWashoe.org. Bike Life Radio airs on the first Sunday of every month at noon right here on KWNK 97.7 FM. Today on Bike Life Radio, it's Bike Month, and we want to take you far away from the sad reality of Reno's broken bike network. We're going to go to a friendlier, safer bike reality. Imagine what it could be like here. It's at the National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. from the League of American Bicyclists. It's not just a happy place because they talk about bikes. It's a happy place because Washington, D.C. is doing lots of things right, involving the cycling community and installing a network, a protected network. By doing this, they increased female ridership from 25% to 45%. We're going to find out how. And then we're going to talk to a very attractive woman who also has a mobile bike repair business. Double wow, super attractive. Finally, an intro to a top secret alley cat race. First, though, we're going to talk to a guy who really demonstrates the happiness on the street of just the average guy. He never told me his name because he was kind of in a hurry on his bike, but he had this huge smile on his face, and he stopped briefly to talk to me in Washington, D.C. We spoke in Spanish, but you can really hear the excitement and thrill in his voice.
¿Habla español?
Sí.
Sí. Soy Kai Plascon de Reno, Nevada.
Oh, viene de Renovada.
Ajá, sí, en una estación de radio.
Yo trabajo en el restaurante Clays. Ahí yo todos los días vengo desde...
I work in the Claus restaurant, and I ride 4.5 miles from Arlington, Virginia, and I have ridden every day for 5 years on M Street. I ride over the bridge on 7th Street. I have had 5 bicycles. New. This one was $700. Now, I bought it at the Core House Tech on Washington Boulevard. It's very safe to ride on a bicycle here. It's very safe here, and there are paths for bicycles. It is very good to ride here. There are paths on the left and on the right. They are making a lot of special avenues for bicycles. It is very safe. 4 years ago, none of this was here. Everyone is using bicycles now because it is more comfortable. The traffic on the metro and the bus takes a while, so I go on the bike, and I get to work on time.
Ya voy a trabajar porque ya va a ser la hora.
Tienes que ir ahorita. Oye,
I gotta go. Gotta get to work. It's time.
Espera. Ok, listo. Ajá. Ándale, qué bien. Ok.
Gracias.
Ajá, gracias a ti también. Hasta luego.
We shoot a photo, and then he's gone, racing away on the happy streets.
Ajá. Hasta luego.
So what makes these roads such a happy place? Well, maybe it's all the women on the roads on bicycles. Listen to Will Hansfeild of the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation make a proud announcement.
I think when we started counting, we were like 25% female, 75% male, and as time has gone by now, we are probably like 45 female, 55 male. It's actually really close. I think our gender split is really good.
Hansfeild is a bike planner with the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation. According to their counts, protected bike path development has coincided with a 20% increase in women riding. Now, almost half of all riders are women. He took us on a tour of some of the great bike infrastructure, sometimes speaking to a large group over a megaphone.
We do signalize the bike movements that are in conflict with any car movement. So it might be that you follow the pedestrian signal, and we put like a sign plate that says bikes follow ped signal, or we'll have a bike signal. And we're mostly using those where there's a left turn or right turn conflict with the cyclists themselves, and that's to keep the movements separated. So we're probably about, I think our first bike signal was about 2010, but we didn't really use them regularly until maybe three years ago, and now we're using them on more and more projects. So it's kind of a work in progress, and we're feeling it out. I think the signal positioning and size, it could stand to be lower height and also maybe like lower diameter, so it's not confused with other signals, but we're working on it. Oh, question in the back, yeah. The question is about counting devices. Yes, we do have them. We have induction loop counters at a couple places, not on this facility, but we also do point-in-time counts, manual counts, and then we use some of the big data sources from time to time and tube counters to try to figure out volumes. But we just reinvigorated our program. One of our trail planners is taking it on, and so we have some automated counts that come from those induction loops and other kinds of technologies. And we try to boil it all together and come up with some sense of what's happening out on the street. And then something will come along like one wheels or scooters that the counting technology doesn't pick up whatsoever. We got to try to figure that out too. So it's more complex than it seems when you first look at it. But we're trying to do better about counting everything that's happening in the small mobility space.
We're talking to Will Hansfeild of the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation, known as DDOT. He's talking about protected bike path development. According to their bike counts, women ridership has increased from 25 to 45%.
We've seen a real growth in women taking children like on cargo bikes. I think that's a big area for growth. But yeah, we've seen a lot of change. And I think I was on a forum with some speakers from South America and Mexico, and they have a really big gender split, like 25-75, for reasons that are very different than what we have. Ours was more like people didn't feel safe, so as we built safer bicycling infrastructure, we've sort of been able to surmount some of that gap. Everyone feel like riding back? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go down.
Will Hansfeild from the Department of Transportation in Washington, D.C. Well, yeah, I'm one of the bike lane planners. I've been doing that, on and off for about the past 13 years, but with the current role I have for 5 years, doing mostly protected bike lanes.
Wide streets are a great opportunity, you were saying, huh?
Yeah, what we found on a lot of our streets is that you look at the traffic numbers and there's plenty of capacity to still handle that many vehicles per day, just in a lot smaller space, and it makes them behave a little bit better if they have narrower lanes, maybe fewer lanes in a lot of cases, and but that also creates all the extra space you need for the bike facilities to come in.
What gets transportation officials over that line of we've got all this extra space and we're going to dedicate some of it to cycling, do you think?
Well, I think, one thing I've learned over the years is just the thing that controls, how many cars can fit through a space isn't really the amount of space on the street. It's all about what happens at the signals. So there's a lot of interesting and neat ways you can maintain that capacity if you need to. Or you could give it a haircut. Sometimes you should make the choice that you don't want all those cars in places that are sensitive, like schools, colleges, libraries, places like that, daycares. And it might be appropriate to try to direct cars elsewhere, away from those places, and then put in more infrastructure that's for safe cycling, walking, things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of analysis that goes into any of this stuff. Our first bicycle master plan was in 2005, and we've been hard at work on putting in bike facilities since then, which is a little bit ahead of most American cities. But we've learned a lot, and we're undoing some of the things we did in the past. We don't do a lot of regular bike lanes anymore, the unprotected kind. We're really focused on protected bike lanes for the most part. We don't get it right in every situation, but we're doing better and better as time goes on. We're going to turn right into this facility, but we're going to let the cars go first. 10% of people in the downtown are moving around by bikes at far lower cost than like almost any roadway project. Just to repave a certain quantity of roadway will cost you a lot more than putting a bike lane on top of an existing roadway. So, this stuff isn't all that expensive. It involves pretty rudimentary equipment, flex post, concrete blocks. Sometimes you can do planters if you want to beautify things, but it's really about priorities and just valuing the cyclist as an equally legitimate traveler on public rights-of-way as everybody else that's either in a bus, in a car, walking. You just have to value them all the same and give everybody the right kind of infrastructure for their chosen mode.
We're talking to Will Hansfeild of the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation, known as DDOT. He's talking about protected bike path development. We'll be right back. Meet a victim of infrastructure injustice.
That's right. My name's Kevin.
Kevin wanted to ride his bike from UNR through downtown to Midtown.
That's right.
But there are no bike lanes through downtown Reno. Kevin tried to ride his bike anyway. He chose Center Street.
Yeah, going the opposite way, because it's all downhill and you can go real fast.
Without bike paths, streets are dangerous. He found out the hard way.
Someone put an island right there where it don't belong. I hit that sucker going head on, and I went like 40 feet. I could get out of bed for 2 weeks.
It's time to stand up for the victims of infrastructure injustice like Kevin. People on bikes, scooters, and motorized wheelchairs deserve safe streets too. Go to buildabetterbikeNetwork.com and end infrastructure injustice. Kevin will thank you.
That's right.
We're talking to Will Hansfeild of the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation, known as DDOT. Speaking of cost, are you seeing less reduced cost because 10% of people are on bikes? Like they're not impacting the roads as much, or not really?
Well, I mean, certainly it's, the more people we have bicycling, the less pressure there is on other things, but I don't think we're to the point where we're seeing the other costs come down because we have more cyclists, but I think that will happen in time. whether it's through less resurfacing, less wear and tear on some of our infrastructure. In any case, it's something that we think is going to happen over time. But we're pretty happy with it. And mostly we're focused on providing a safe network of all ages and abilities cycling, so that people that are 8 years old can ride with their parents, people that are 80 years old can ride by themselves safely in a network of facilities that's planned mostly for them.
Somebody was mentioning 14th Street and some sort of like protected lane that nobody can use over there. Was that one of the, are you guys aware of that? And was it a mistake or no?
I think that was our first try at a bus bike lane, which we're riding right now is a bus bike lane. And so, they're a little different. They're kind of unique. And we learn as we go. So I think we would probably make some changes based on what we've learned so far. Well, I think we also have to operate within the realm of what's politically possible too. We don't have a culture that uniformly agrees that we should allocate even small percentage of our road to bicycling. So we're getting there, but right now I think we're trying to take whatever opportunities to get people out of cars, whether it's by making the buses more efficient in their corridors. And actually I think there is it's not for everybody. This probably doesn't meet that all ages and ability standard to have bicycles and buses sharing the same wide lane, but for a lot of riders it will work, and it's worth making the change.
Worth making the change, he said, as he's riding away.
Okay, it's going to get a little bit busier up here. We're just going to continue on to 13th Street, and then we will head over to the Portrait Gallery.
You're listening to Bike Life Radio from KWNK Studios.
Do you like that, the path, with the freeway?
I don't like the path next to the freeway, personally. I think I would rather not ride next to a freeway. I would rather be either behind a sound wall at most, or just near a river. Rivers are a good way to do long distance, contiguous bike paths. Power line routes and gas line routes sometimes are good ones to do.
What about in terms of directness though, and getting someplace really fast?
Yeah, that's the trade-off. Sometimes that freeway route is the most direct. Or a rail trails can be really great too. Rail trails historically are the reason that they've. Why don't we turn left here and then we'll go.
That's Will Hansfeild of the Washington, D.C. Department of Transportation. We've been talking about women and biking and the protected bike paths that they've installed there. Not only are more women biking in D.C., but one has started a mobile bike repair business in that city. Here's Leah Fantel of Upshift Mobile Bike Repair.
Okay, here we go.
Well, yeah, I always catch people off guard. That's one of the signatures of doing this.
What's the radio show?
Bike Life Radio.
Bike Life Radio?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
On KWNK 97.7 FM
Amazing.
in Reno, Nevada. Yeah.
Amazing.
So you're Leah. I'm looking at
Yes.
your name tag there.
Yeah.
And we're at the National Bike Summit, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And you work here in DC, don't you?
Yes, I run a mobile pedal-powered bicycle repair and education workshop here in the city.
Nice. And you do it on a cargo bike.
I do. Yeah, a very long-tail cargo bike.
Yeah, and you used to not do it on a cargo bike, didn't you? You had a trailer, right? Because we were talking about, I want to do that, and how do I do it? And you used to do it with a trailer, and you had all your tools and everything on the trailer, right? And what happened?
Well, I started out using a normal bike pulling a trailer, then an e-bike pulling a trailer, and as I put hundreds of miles on these bikes and trailer setups, carrying hundreds of pounds, eventually I found that it was not the safest setup. You hit a patch of rain and the road is slick, and that trailer pushes your bike down the road when you're carrying too much weight, and it just felt not safe with the brakes. So I ended up upgrading to a cargo bike. It's an amazing setup. You can carry so much stuff, ride forever, carry whatever you want, and it just feels effortless. It's incredible.
Do you have 400 pounds on there? Is that what you said? Or no, you can carry 400 on this one. But on the trailer, how many pounds do you think you had?
So it's the same amount of weight, the same amount of gear that I was carrying on this as the trailer. It's usually around 150 to maybe 170-ish pounds. I haven't weighed the gear, but I've weighed the bike with the gear. And bike plus gear right now is somewhere around 230.
That's a lot of weight.
It is, yeah.
And so why do this instead of with a car or something else? Just driving into a neighborhood with all your tools.
I get way better access to people. I don't have to sit in traffic. I don't have to pay or worry about parking. I can pull right up to my client's front door. I can basically roll my whole setup without unloading anything through a building into their courtyard out back to be able to reach folks that need bike repairs. It also was a great way to just be an example for the community to be able to run a fully zero waste business instead of gas guzzling all day driving my cargo van around. Mobile bike repairs of any kind are an incredible resource, able to reach people that can't necessarily reach a bike shop and be able to reach them efficiently and meet them on their schedules. But I think a cargo bike is able to do it in a way that's just a little bit more magic than a cargo van.
Yeah, so tell, what's the name of your business?
It's Upshift Workshop or upshiftdc.com.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I assume bikes are an interesting space of a transportation, a recreation, a vocation, a way to just experience our communities and connect with other people. I think that there's space for many kinds of biking and many spaces that teach people how to ride bikes, connect people with other people that ride bikes, and I think it's an amazing space to be working.
We're talking to Leah Fantel about her mobile bike repair shop, Upshift. We made all these connections with people during the National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. By the League of American Bicyclists. We'll be right back. What is the best month of the year? Well, Bike Month, of course. When is the best month of the year? Well, it's in May. What do you do to prepare for Bike Month in May? Well, first look at your bike and then ask it, what do you need, bike? And then be ready for Bike Month. Then practice riding so you look cool during Bike Month. Then during Bike Month in May, look cool as you ride your bike. Where do you ride it? Well, you go to Craft in Midtown every Thursday at 6 p.m. Well, to celebrate bike stuff, of course, and to get presentations from local bike groups and free stuff, too. Every Thursday in May, 6 p.m. at Craft from the Truckee Meadows Bicycle Alliance. We'll see you there. During the best month of the year, Bike Month. We're back. We're talking to Leah Fantel, owner of Upshift Mobile Bike Repair. She does bike repair on a bike.
You have gone into neighborhoods and just been there, and you were saying that people show up and say, how much longer are you going to be here? Is that what happens?
So at the moment, this is a for-profit, but it runs almost like a nonprofit a lot of the time. I contract with the city. I contract with other organizations to come up and do pop-up shops. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. DC in particular, we have a lot of neighborhoods that are well served by bike shops and a lot of areas that are not well served by bike shops. Bike shop deserts, essentially, where people might not have ever seen a bike shop or brought their bike or don't even know that a bike shop exists. They think the bike, when it breaks, is just broken. It's trash. It's a toy that broke. You can't use it anymore. The bike sits in their backyard. It rusts. And if you come into their community with a pop-up and you're like, hey, I'm offering bike repairs from a certified mechanic, come on out. People are so excited. Yeah, they'll pull up with their car, brakes, they get very excited and they'll come on back, they'll bring their bikes, they'll bring their kids' bikes. It becomes it's an incredible thing for the community a lot of the time.
So people, or the city contracts with you, they hire you.
They have, yeah. I'm trying to get more into that, but I've worked with them for a number of pop-ups around the city.
So when you do a pop-up, how does it work then? You're going into an underserved neighborhood. Are you charging them per hour, or what are you doing?
Yeah, so I'll charge the city for the program. It's a pretty great partnership where my expenses get covered and I'm able to then offer that as a service to the community for entirely free. I even include some basic parts. We'll use new and used parts depending on what's needed for the situation, and able to really thoroughly fix people's bikes for no cost to them.
Wow, nice. How often do you do that?
At the moment, it's usually surrendered around events. We're kind of just city initiatives, so we have one coming up pretty soon that'll be kind of fun. Last summer, we were celebrating 100 miles of bike lanes in DC, so I was part of a number of pop-ups with the city for that, just kind of celebrating it on different bike lanes around the city. and hope to do more. There's a couple of fun initiatives coming up that I'm excited about.
Do you think you're going to expand?
We'll see. I'm excited about spreading this idea to more people, and we'll see where it goes.
The idea of mobile bike repair.
Yes, mobile bike repair is an essential part of bicycle infrastructure. Getting more people riding requires the bikes to be working and working safely, and folks to feel confident with that bike and know that it'll ride them safely around the city. And so, yeah, I just want more people to know that bike repair is an essential part of all of this. Seeing that need, I've worked in the bike industry here in DC and bike shops in different capacities for the last 8-9 years or so, and in my work have gotten to interact with a lot of different capacities of it. There's been definitely an interest and a need among our community for more bike education. I had clients reaching out to me, even when I worked in another bike shop, to do private lessons with them on how to work on their own bikes, or to do house calls. If, let's say, they got a flat tire, they can't bring that bike to the shop if they don't have easy access to public transit where they live, or they don't feel confident putting their bike on the bus, or it's a cargo bike, so it won't even fit. And so, yeah, they would reach out and be like, hey, do you know of anyone that offers this? And I got this question so often that I was like, I do? Sure, I will do that for you. And so I started doing it very small on the side of other work, and then slowly was getting bigger and getting bigger, and then the pandemic hit, and the bike shops around DC were they were totally slammed. There was multi-month wait times, and so because I had already built up this small client base, they had told their friends that I was doing this. Instead of getting maybe 3-ish requests a week, I started getting like 10, and I was like, oh man, I need to actually, it would be great to actually start doing this more often. And so, yeah, I ended up quitting my other job and just went all in. Yeah.
You quit your other job. What was your other job?
I was working for the city bike share. Yeah, I was the lead bike tech for Capital Bike Share here in DC.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What did people say when you're like, I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna be mobile bike repair forever?
They were really supportive. My manager was able to give me the grace he gave me a little bit of a buffer period to figure it out, and it ended up going well. So then I ended up just cutting my hours and going all in. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And when did you go full in?
Yeah, so I started working in this. I started offering mobile repairs in the January of 2019, but went full in it was about, I think, June or July of 2020. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. So Leah Fantel?
Yes.
Fantel?
Fantel, you got it right. Yeah.
Fantel. All right.
Yeah.
Upshift Bike Shop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's so good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too. You're listening to Bike Life Radio on KWNK 97.7. We're at the National Bike Summit.
Fabulous.
Okay, so it's Sunday at noon in Reno, and something called Scally Cat just ended. It's an epic 24 hours of escapades and bike charades around Reno. If you want to know a little bit more about it, look it up on my Kai Plaskon YouTube channel. Reno's Scally Cat is a little wild, but it's what's called an alley cat race, and these events happen all over the United States. While we were in DC at the National Bike Summit by the League of American Bicyclists, we talked to Joel Gwads, who did an intro to Alley Cat for the National Bike Summit. Here he is.
Right. Yeah, I'm doing an intro to Alley Cat. It's an Alley Cat in conjunction with the National Bike Summit, but not officially associated with the National Bike Summit. And so it's for locals and for attendees of the National Bike Summit.
Uh-huh. And what are we going to do?
So it's going to be, I can't tell you exactly what's going to be, but it's going to be under 10 miles, 10 checkpoints. It's going to go to some best of spots in Washington, D.C. There'll be some murals, some monuments, some iconic spots, some pickups, but mainly selfies.
Oh, selfies. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, well, the industry has changed. Now within the messenger industry, sometimes there'll have to be a proof of delivery with a photo. But the selfie has come because a lot of times there would be a manifest, and the manifest would have questions, and you would write the answer to the question down, but then with texting and Nextel technology or whatever, the messengers could steal the information. So the selfie at every location reduces the cheating.
It's funny that people would want to cheat, oh, I'm going to pretend that I rode my bike, right?
I mean, that's an e-bike, but that's another story.
Yes.
So this is the cheating that we're talking about.
Yeah, we've been talking. She's doing it all the time. She admitted it.
Yeah. So no, I mean, but so that's the thing is there's a little bit of a pirate nature. There's a question of like how much cheating is cheating, and so I mean sometimes like, you're supposed to prove you're supposed to be there, but just like with the question, ask a question. If you know the answer to the question without going there, why would you go there?
Yeah.
So, but
It's very philosophical.
yeah, I mean, but I prefer. So you try and make it a way so you can reduce the cheating as much as possible, so they have to go to the checkpoints. And so last year, President's Day, I hosted a Lincoln-themed Alley Cat. Right now, we're at the National Bike Summit here on F Street. Around the corner is Ford's Theater, where Abraham Lincoln was shot. But I ended up creating a nice little route that involves a lot of bike lanes, and so that people from out of town can have safe passage and some quick turnoffs. This is my friend Lisa Brady. She's in town from Idaho, and she is going to be volunteering and running one of my checkpoints.
Excellent. Great.
Yay.
So I'm a DC local, and so I'm a cyclist, and as a cyclist, I dabble in many disciplines. Mountain biking is my favorite. I'm on a mountain bike team that hosts DCCX, a cyclocross race, for 15 years. And I do alley cats, and as a member of the cycling community, you kind of learn this notion of giving back. Other people promote events, and you enjoy doing them. You have to give back as well. And so I host alley cats, and then other people host alley cats. I do alley cats, and it kind of pass the torch. I'm just trying to keep it along. I'll do it for a while, and then someone else will take over.
What do you think of cycling infrastructure here?
It's complicated. I think, I'm excited that safe cycling's focused. There's a lot of bike lanes, a lot of separated bike lanes, but I think more signs, more rules, more laws. I think we need to change the way people think. The infrastructure. If the infrastructure is not respected, what's the point? If someone's parked in the bike lane, it then makes it more dangerous. And not to get on the e-bike diatribe, but Leah's my friend. That one we just saw, she just rolled up on a pedal assist e-bike, and she's a strong cyclist. And I know it's a cargo bike. She's doing work, covering a lot of times. Yeah. I mean, every time I take a step, I carry more than 230 pounds, so that's not like a big deal to me. But we just have to understand, and here we are at this, it's called the National Bike Summit, which is a form of a transportation advocacy summit. And the e-bike, we just have to take an understanding of the e-bike is a form of motorcycle. Yeah. It's not a form of a bicycle, because the bicycle loses being a bicycle as soon as you put a motor on it. And if these machines of the same speed, power, velocity, horsepower had an exhaust pipe on it, nobody would permit it on the sidewalk or the bike path. When I ride my bicycle in the bike lane or the bike path, it's to get away from the cars, to get away from the motorized, rabbit ears, quotes, whatever, to get away from motorized vehicles. And so when these e-bikes are now moving into those bike lanes or the bike paths, it then defeats the whole purpose. I've now lost my sanctuary, and I'm now put at risk, just as much risk, by a motorized vehicle.
Have you been hit?
No, but I do have to change my pace, and every day I have near head-ons where I have to alter my pace because someone's zigzagging through and coming head-on, and I have to reduce my speed. Maybe I'm a one-man advocacy group. I don't know.
That's good.
I mean, I'm definitely not for profit because I don't have any money.
In Germany, there's people who are going out into the mountains with e-bikes, and then they have no idea what they're doing, and they're getting stuck out there, and then they have to helicopter them out, and which has become like a serious problem apparently.
Well, I mean, it's good business for the helicopters. In Valmont Bike Park, so in Boulder, Colorado, they built this amazing facility for recreation. Just as there's basketball courts and soccer fields, they built this mountain bike park. And it's free to the people, but it's amazing business for the orthopedics. You're going to have these things. The e-mountain bike is interesting because a lot of the e-bikes are actual. A lot of people talk about the different classifications, and a lot of it is pedal assist. So an athletic cyclist could maybe go for a 4-hour mountain journey rather than a 2-hour or whatever. But
maybe they should be able to go for 2 hours first and then work their way up rather than just go for 4 hours.
Well, I think that's. So there's a lot of discussion that exactly. So for me to ride my bicycle and go 18 miles an hour, it takes years to get to that point, and in that moment, it takes focus, concentration, and effort. For anyone else, it just takes swipe of a credit card, and they have an e-bike, and then all of a sudden, they're in this high speed, high risk environment. Yeah, and they don't understand. It's a white knuckle adventure. They don't know. Like, I see these people blasting their NPR on their cargo bikes with the kids on the back, just smiling along the way. It's like, really, I think they should just get a convertible. Like, they think their kids are getting some sort of outdoor experience, you know. But I mean, it's it's not what you think it is. Like, I mean, if you know.
You know, we've gone from Alley Cat to talk about e-bikes and John Wilkes Booth, and you know, I was talking to.
How are you going to edit this? I mean, what are you going to get?
I won't. And I don't know what I'll get out of it until we actually air it. But then I was talking to Leah, and she mentioned that that she's ADD. And I was thinking, as we're talking, like, we've been all over the place. And do you think that cyclists have ADD?
I think it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting question what draws people to different cultures. Like, the messenger community draws a different type of person, and you see a repeated kind of dysfunction in the high-achieving messengers. I think the Alley Cat, it's funny, somebody asked me why I do it, and I think it's a way that I can focus my energy. It's good for me to have a positive place. I like a project, you know, and it could be for, you know, at other times I do other things, you know, I'm not a potter, I'm not a painter, but, you know, it's good to have a project. I enjoy to have the project, and it's like, this is my little mandala, and today we're going to see the mandala finished, and then the wind will blow the colorful dust away, you know. But I studied psychology, and I can't tell you if more people, if the people are more messed up in the bike community than any other community.
Why don't we just say, yeah, why not, right? We can handle it.
I mean, but, you know, Leah's an interesting person. I mean, it's an interesting person. I mean, these people here and their quest to, like, find their place in the bike life, you know, and she's worked at bicycle co-ops, she worked at Capital Bike Share, and now she's got her own business as a mobile bike mechanic, and she does bicycle education. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's people trying to, like, make a difference.
You're listening to Bike Life Radio, KWNK 97.7 FM. Thanks for chatting with me.
All right, good to meet you, and hopefully you can edit some of that out.
I don't. I have an entire hour to fill, so I threw it all on there. All right, we're at the National Bike Summit, KWNK 97.7 FM, and my daughters, Alara and Ava, just recently went to watch some presentations. So, Ava, what did you learn at your... They're trying to run away so they don't have to talk to me. What was it like?
Come here. Papers.
Oh, you're going to show us the paper. All right. Ava's got a ton of notes. So, Alara, what was the name of the conference that you went to, and what did you see?
Biking for all ages.
Yeah, and so what was it like?
Separated bike lanes can, it was like trails or whatever for bikes and stuff, and like people help create less stress or something like that. I forgot.
Ava, so what was your presentation on?
Conversation with people who are disabled.
And what was it like?
It was really like those people that were talking on the Zoom. They like told like stories about like how like their cities like need to like realize that not just like people who don't have disabilities can ride bikes, but people with disabilities can ride bikes, and like poor eyesight, like there could be like a bunch of branches everywhere in their city, and like it's people with poor eyesight, like they'd be riding, and then like the branches, they could hurt themselves really badly. And this one woman had that happen to her, and she had to like call the city to come clean it up. And like this guy, he has PhD, I think.
PTSD? Oh, he's a doctor. Yeah, a PhD. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he rides his bike a lot and stuff, and he gets like pulled over by the police for no reason, like at all. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And like, but I wrote a lot, but I don't want to say it on the podcast since there's a lot.
Okay, we'll digest all of these notes and put together a presentation.
Okay.
Thanks for going.
Yeah.
My daughters, Alara and Ava Plascon, at the National Bike Summit in Washington, D.C. Want to go ride? Go look at the White House? I found the White House.
Yeah.
You want to go see it?
How far away is it?
It's pretty close. It's not very far.
That's what you always say. And then it's like 20 miles away, bruh.
That's not very far.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is very
far.
Not when you ride 20 miles all the time.
Oh my god.
Then it's like a normal distance.
Dad, no, it's not.
No.
No. Normal distance is like at least 2.5 miles. Maybe 8.
That's far. Who decided that 2.5 miles is not long?
Me when I was 6.
Well, now you're like more than double that age, so you should be able to go more than double that distance, like 20 miles.
Oh my god. No.
You're like... All right. Well, anyway, let's go see the White House.
Okay. It's not like 20 miles, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's it for Bike Life Radio. So now we know what a happy place a city can be when it has a healthy bicycle culture. Last week, we had a special episode of Bike Life Radio. In case you missed it, we featured how easily Washington, D.C. has installed protected bike paths. And then we compared that to Reno, which is struggling to install just one protected bike path for years, from UNR to Midtown. The show is almost an entire hour of city staff arguing with the city council, refusing to move forward. No kidding, an entire hour. It's not happy at all. You can find the episode on KWNK's Spotify. But this is Bike Month, so let's keep a positive attitude and maybe we'll make incremental positive steps over time. There are events every Thursday in May at 6 p.m. at Craft in Midtown. The first 20 people who show up get a drink ticket. We've already had the first event, which was a Star Wars themed ride where we did lightsaber battles in the street. These events are a ton of fun. Again, Thursdays at 6 p.m. at Craft in Midtown. That's it for Bike Life Radio. We record out in the world, never in a studio. Bike Life Radio is made possible by KWNK in Reno, Nevada, owned and operated by the nonprofit bike shop Reno Bike Project. I'm Kai Plascon. Right on. Tired of being serious on your bicycle? Let's take a bicycle fun break with Bike Life Radio. Yeah, so when you said you don't ride a bike, that's not true. You do.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, we've found out the truth about you. You're a closet bike rider.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome.
Catch Bike Life Radio the first Sunday of every month with me, Kai Plascon, right on bikewashow.org.